Welcome to Code Jogging. In our last video, we look at an array in C++. In this video, we are going to look at multi-dimensional array in C++. And I believe you've watched our last video. In case you've not watched it, please kindly go and watch the video. Other than that, you won't understand what we are going to treat in this video. If today is your first time watching our video, please kindly subscribe to our channel. Now, when you talk about a multi-dimensional array, we are talking about having an array inside another array, like how we did it in the for loop, where we had a nested for loop. So this one is more like a nested array in C++. So this means that the array that we treated in our previous video is a single dimensional array. Okay, so now we might have an array like this. Okay, and then we can have 1, 2, 4, 6. Okay, so this is a single dimensional array in C++. So now let's look at the multi-dimensional array in C++. For us to have a multi-dimensional array, first you have to specify your data type as usual. Okay, it follows the same rules as declaring an array variable or a single dimensional array variable in C++. Okay, so we have our data type, then we declare our array here, then we have to initialize it with these data sets. Okay, so for us to use the multi-dimensional, then we need to first specify our row here. So we might have, let's say 2 or 3. Okay, then the second one, we have to add another square bracket, so that's the column. So let's have 3 here. Okay, so let's go on and then initialize it with a data set. So we have this. Okay, so this is our first, so we have to use our first array here. Then we are going to specify our rows and then our column. So with this one, I believe you are familiar with matrices or grids. So that's how the multi-dimensional array looks like. So we first have our row like this, but we are having two data sets here. So row and then column. Then we can add another one to it. So with this, now we can see that our IDE has indicated the indexes for us. So this one is the row 1, and then this one is the row 0 and then row 1. So we can go ahead and then add our data. Let's say 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we can add another one here again. So let me move this one here. Okay, so we can have 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now you can see that we are having an array inside an array here. So it's more like a nested array. Okay, so let me bring this one here. Yes, so I believe now we can see how we've structured our multi-dimensional array in C++. So now we stated that we want the row to have 3 data and then the column 2 to have 3 data here. Okay, so it means that we can go ahead and then add another set to it. So we can have 7, 8, and then 9. But we can't go ahead and then add a data again. We will have an error here because we are using 3 by 3 matrices here. Okay, so we can change this one to 4. Sorry, let me 3. We can change the row to 4. Yes, because this is the row. So we can change the row to 4 and then we are good to go. So let's change this to 3. The same thing applies to the column. So when we continue adding a number to it, then there's an error here. That's the array out of bound. Okay, so it means that it says SS elements in array initializer. Okay, so we should always look at the rules. And one thing is, we can't leave the array size. Okay, if we were using a single dimensional array, then we can leave the size open. It's not a compulsory for you to specify the array size before you add the values to it. But dealing with the multi-dimensional array, you have to first specify the size for both the rows and then the column. Okay, so now let's revert our code back, then we are good to go. So this is how you can use a multi-dimensional array in C++. So now let's continue. We are going to look at how we can access the elements of a multi-dimensional array. Okay, so for us to access the multi-dimensional array's element is to get the value of a specified coordinate. So when we want to access a value here, this is the coordinate. If we were dealing with the single dimensional array, then we are going to stick to the indexes. Okay, so the same thing applies to the multi-dimensional. It means we are going to use the coordinates here. So if we want to get the value of 1, it means we have to use the row 0, column 0. And if you want to get the value of 9, then we can use row 2, column 2. Okay, so that's how we can deal with getting the elements in a multi-dimensional array. So now let's go ahead and then print out 5. So we call our cout, we call our array. Then first 5, we have to use row 1 here. Okay, so let's use row 1 here. So we have 1 first. So this is the row 1. Then we have the column 1 here. So we bring our square bracket again and then 1. So let's go ahead and then execute our code to see the output. Okay, so now we've been able to display or get the element 5. So let's do the same thing for 6. So we are still on the row 1 here. So we deal with column 2 here. So let's change the 1 to 2. Yes. Now we've gotten the value of 6 here. Okay, so this is how we can access the elements of a multi-dimensional array. So let's look at how we can also update a value of multi-dimensional array. So now we have the row 1, column 2 to have a value of 6. So let's update it. So we can go ahead and then call the array here, then we can assign 10 to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and then call the same value again. Now we are not supposed to see 6, but we should rather see 10 because we've updated the value to 10. Yes, so this is how we can change an element of a multi-dimensional array. One key thing you are supposed to look at is multi-dimensional array deals with the rows and then the column. Okay, so let me put that way. That's the rows and then the column. With this, we can still go ahead and then add or expand this one to 3-dimensional. But one funny thing is, as you keep on increasing the dimension, the number of the dimensions that you want to use, then the array becomes complex. Okay, so this one is giving us a three-dimensional instead of two. So we can go ahead, we can have one like this, then we can have nested one, then we can have another one here. Sorry, we can have another one here. Okay, so now you can see that our code has become complicated and we have to update this one too so that we won't get an error. Okay, so let's stick to the two dimensional that we used. You are not limited to only two or three. You can grow your array as far as we are dealing with multi-dimensional array in C++. Okay, so now let's revert our code back to the two. Okay, so what if we want to display all the elements in this multi-dimensional array? We can do that by using for loop or for each loop. And I know because this one is an array, our IDE or our compiler will at least prompt us that the easy way of looping through this array list here is using the for each loop. No matter whether you use for each for loop or not. So let's first start with the for loop. Okay, so we can call our for loop here. Okay, so the length here should be 3. Okay, and we are using a nested for loop. So give us j, and this one should be 3. Okay, so we can go ahead and then display the value of j. Okay, so we call the array name here, then I, then j. Sorry, yes. Then we move on to this, and then we can add a new line. So let's run our code. And there we go. Now we have like how we arranged it at the top. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and as I said earlier that the compiler or the IDE will just prompt us that the easy way of looping through this array is using a for each loop. So yes, and there we go. So we can switch to this or you can use our for loop and it will still work. So let's execute our code again. And then there we go. So the assignment I'm going to give it to you is try to create a program that allows the user to specify the data that he or she wants to add. Okay, so first you have to specify the multi-dimensional array size that the user wants to use. Like this one, we use 3, 3. So the user can decide that I want to use 4 by 3 or 4 by 4, okay, dimensional in C++. And then also allow the user to enter the values. I just want to see how you can come up with that solution. In case you have any questions or based on assignments you couldn't finish it on time, please leave it at the comment section and then we work on it together. If you've not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. See you in our next video. Bye bye.